Hi there, welcome to the Bradbury Young channel. Now my current project is a Kwik Sew. I'm going to go at the Kwik Sew 4158. Now I'm trying this one because supposedly it's a simple pattern, but that's why they're called Kwik Sew, but it's also a hard pattern as well. The reason being is that this is cut on the bias. So here's the pattern, it's the Kwik Sew. And as you'll probably notice straight away, what we've got is several pieces. There's like a left side and a left side, and you've got an upper piece and a lower piece on both sides, same on the back, but these are also cut on the bias, so there's angle to the pieces. So even though it's a Kwik Sew and looks supposedly really simple, I imagine it's going to be a little bit more difficult because of that cut on the bias. So I imagine this could go horribly wrong. Hopefully not, and hopefully it'll go quite smoothly. Now the details on the back say that this is, let me put my glasses on. This is a loose fitting pullover tops. Loose fitting pullover tops have front and back seams, V neckline with self fabric neckband. Oh right, yeah, you just use the same fabric that you're using for your main piece to actually make a neckband. It's got darts on it, contrast front and back sections, and shaped hemline. So in other words, it flares out at the bottom there on the bottom of the hem. Top A, armholes finished with bias tape. Top B, contrast 3/4 length sleeves. And I suppose if you wanted, you could obviously make the sleeves longer or shorter, depending on what you fancy. Fabrics, designed for light to medium weight woven fabrics such as cotton blends, challis, crepe de chine and gauze, or gauze, I'm not quite sure how I pronounce that one. So now I've gone for the medium, let's have a look at my notes. Yeah, I've gone for the medium size. That's what I'm going to try from the measurements on the back. I say it looks like it is relatively loose fitting, as it suggests, so it should hopefully not need any amendments or alterations to this. Hopefully, so I'll have to see how that goes. But anyway, I have actually I've done my pattern pieces. I've already got them copied and done. So I used this tracing paper, so I've already got that ready, and I actually cut out my mock-up material, because obviously I do need to do a mock-up on this first of all before I start on anything nicer. So having got that done, having done the pattern and my mock-up material, I suppose I ought to get on with this and start sewing it up. So yeah, next stage, here I come. Now I'm having a look over the instructions to see how easy this is to put together, and I have already had a look over the instructions because I need to work out what my sizing was and that, and how I was going to cut the pieces out. But just having a good read of the instructions now, and it's quite simple. Basically, we've got first of all the darts, and then you've got to put the upper and lower piece together, starting with the front two pieces and then the back pieces, so they get put together, so you end up with 4 panels, which is the 2 front and the 2 back panels. And then this is where it seems to depart from the norm, because what it's saying now is that I need to put after that the left panels together, so the left front and the left back are sewn together on the side seams, and then the same with the other one, so you end up with 2 pieces, but you've got the left and the right piece. Then you actually do the hemming on the bottom of the panels. It seems a bit odd, but I can understand why they do it as they go further on. And then you actually sew up the back seam after that, so you've got it all stitched together, and then you do the shoulders, so you've got it all stitched together except for the front seam. So it's a little bit of an odd construction process, but it does make sense when it comes to doing the the neckline trim, because you then put that in, you then turn it up, and then you've got to put the facing piece on that, then goes on, gets turned over, and I think the way that they've done it this way, because if you done the front seam up first, it would make it harder to put this neckline piece in. So that goes in before you actually do the front seam, and then you do the front seam, and then the only thing left to do after that is the armholes, depending on whether you're doing no sleeves and you'd put bias tape on there to edge off the armholes, or whether you're putting the sleeves in, of course, and then you just put your sleeves in as you normally would with a sleeve. So actually that construction process isn't too bad. So start with process number one, which is putting the darts in, and then start putting the panels together. So now I've got the left piece and the right piece put together. I've not really finished off the hems. Is that right? Or is that? That's the left piece. That's the right piece. Get them the right way around. At this point, see, so I've done the side, the top and bottom bits. Top and bottom sections have been put together. The sides have been done, side seam and the shoulder seam, and now I'm supposed to do the bottom hem, to hem this bottom up, and to where the piece has an angle on it, you're meant to hem up to that bit, front and back. I'm not going to do that because it is just a mock-up, so I know I've got that far. So next stage will be to put the left and right pieces together at the back seam, and then do the neckline piece. There's a neckline piece that goes on round the neck, and I could get away with not doing that, but I want to put it on just to see how it's actually, that neckline is actually going to sit. I know the back's not sewn up, but it gives a slight idea of what it's sort of going to be. That really doesn't show it very well as to how, because I've got a thick jumper on underneath this, so not really sitting right, but that's the idea. You've got this pattern stripe bit, another bit at the bottom. So let's get it back sewn up, because I've got the side seams and everything else done. Back sewn up, neckline, and then the front, and then I can actually know what's going to be going on with this. How is it fitting? How well is it fitting? Don't necessarily need to put sleeves on this. I might do on this mock-up just to see how that sits. I'll have to decide that once I've got the next bit done. So push on with that and see how it all goes. Right, so now I've actually got the mock-up sort of all together. I've put the neckband on, and I've done an adjustment. What have I done with that? I've adjusted these two panels, this one and this one, the top two. Basically I've adjusted the dart. The dart in this first piece, I sort of put it up there. This dart was a bit low and it came all the way over to here, which is way too far over. It should be more like here. So what I did is I adjusted the dart and moved it up and made it a lot shorter for me. So it only comes to there now on this. I don't know which side you can see it. So the dart's about there, which is better for me. I mean, I could probably even get away with making them a little bit shorter. I mean, my body shape, I don't really need the darts very much, you know. I suppose if you are a fuller figure, especially for the ladies or a fuller figure, might need to have that dart, that full dart in there. And of course, if you've got, you know, you need to do a proper bust adjustment on something like this, then obviously these top panels, because of the shaping of them, might make it a little difficult to make that adjustment. The other piece, of course, is the other side, which is actually longer, that way up. It's a longer piece, a bigger piece, but obviously you still only got a certain amount of room to make adjustments, especially on this crazy shaping that we've got on these pieces. But it seems to come together all right. I think perhaps it's a little baggy, but then the pattern description is that it's a loose fit. Let's have a look. There you go, loose fitting, exactly, it's exact words. Loose fitting pullover tops. There we go, so that's exactly what it is. And it starts to flare out to about here, which is above my natural waist, but not by much. And it starts to flare out, and you've got this shaping. I haven't hemmed the bottom, but you know, that's the way it is, and it seems to fit quite nice. I haven't put the sleeves on yet, but I did do the neckline. Now the neckline has come out quite well, but I'm not sure I properly follow the instructions exactly how this tells me to do it again. I'd probably maybe do it a little bit different. And of course I've got to get it evened up. I haven't quite got it evened up, and it's dark because I used black thread on this just so I could see where I was stitching. I always do when I do mock-ups, use a much darker or contrasting thread just to make it a bit easier to see what I'm doing. I mean, the back seems to come out all right. Yeah, so I'm quite happy with that. I'm going to shove some sleeves on it anyway, just to make sure that when I put it on and off with sleeves on it, it'll still work in this size. I'm sure it will, but I just want to make sure. So that'll really be the last thing to do, is to put some sleeves on and make sure it's still all okay. Of course, I've then got to find some material for it, but one step at a time. So I finally got to the end of making my top, the Kwik Sew 4158. That one. Well, the mock-up at least. I've got sleeves on it now, so the mock-up is a full mock-up. Obviously I haven't finished off some of the other little bits, like doing the hemming and finishing off some of the seams, because I don't need to. It is just a mock-up, but that's the reason for doing the mock-up, is that I wanted to understand the pattern and make sure that I did it right. So, you know, it is a little rough around the edges, this mock-up, but it is a fully made mock-up, and I'm quite happy with the way it's gone. Now, I had to make a few alterations as I went through this, as you saw. First one being the dart in the top, in these top two panels, or pieces. Because obviously for me, they were just in the wrong place and too long and too large, and they were just wrong, so I had to change that. And it was only a small minor change, really, but it worked for me. As I said before, you know, I think that's one of the areas where, to get this top to fit properly, you're going to have to do some adjustments to that dart, which is, well, you know, it would be try it and see it out. But there you go. Sleeves, now they're a bit short, a lot shorter than I'd want them, but then even in the picture, if you look in the picture on the model, on the actual pattern, they are short anyway. She's got fairly short sleeves, so they're designed to be quite short sleeved, but I'd want them a lot longer. I was thinking about putting a cuff on, but I decided I didn't want a cuff, I just want to lengthen the sleeve. So 3 to 4 inch, hopefully bring it down there, and then I'll have a much longer sleeve. Anything else that's a bit tricky? Yes, the neckband. The neckband was definitely a bit tricky. Now, the way it tells you to put this on means that what you end up with as you put it on, you've got the garment made up, all the panels, and then you've got to put the neckband on. And the garment, as you look at it, is that sort of shape, sort of upside down horseshoe, but the neckband itself is horseshoe shaped. And it's not a case of turning that upside down. No, you've got to get that horseshoe shape to fit onto an upside down horseshoe shape. So it's a bit tricky, really. So my advice would be pin, baste, stitch, which is what I did, even on the mock-up, because just to get it to go in properly, that I think is the main way of making sure that it stays in the right position, in the right shape, so it goes on. I say this one's a little rough because it's a little out of shape, because it is just a mock-up, but there you go. So all in all, I think it's come out really quite well. I enjoyed making this top, and I enjoyed understanding and learning about how it went together, especially with cutting on the bias, because cutting on the bias means it's going to go all over the place. So all I've got to do now really is, well, find some material to make it actually out of. So I've got to find a good material that's going to be fairly stable even once I've cut it out, because you know, once you cut anything out on the bias, it's going to stretch all over the place. And if I can find a material that doesn't stretch too much or is fairly stable, once you cut it out that way, then the better. But you know, a bit of searching, I'm going to have to do a bit of digging. I haven't got anything myself. I don't have any material. I don't have any scraps or clothing that I can use for that, so I will have to go and find some material. But yeah, all in all, I'm really quite happy with this. I'm glad the way it's turned out, and I've learned something, which is always the main thing. As I always say, mock-ups are for mistakes. So yeah, there we go. So I think all really they're left to say is thank you for joining me on my video, and I look forward to joining you on my next video.
Yeah.